right. That's I like that artist. Have you ever heard of Anders Osborne?
No.
I don't know if that's any relation to Ozzy or what. I got to look up Anders Osborne, try to maybe get him on the podcast. But I discovered Anders Osborne on a just Spotify. Well, you don't have Spotify. Do you have Spotify?
Yeah, I have Spotify.
They'll give you based on what you listen to, they'll throw some shit at you and say, "Hey, we might like this." Mm-hmm. And this is one of those artists.
I like when they do that occasionally.
Yeah.
Not always, but
really?
Occasionally. Yeah. Sometimes they throw me things I don't really care for, but it's okay.
Okay, all right. Well,
they don't know my mood that day. I'm a woman. It doesn't know. It don't know.
Lily V6 is a woman. Wow, this is a revelation that we're having here today.
And we all know that's BS because we all know y'all have done things. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Everybody's done something.
I mean, it could be true.
Okay, we are back, guys, and we are back on the Rock Rage Radio actual page. We're on we're on 14 different things right now. So if there's I see Josh, Kitra, Jerry, guys, if you I got to fix my hair, Jerry. Sorry. If you guys are leaving us comments or whatever, and we don't see it, you can always go over to the Rock Rage Radio page, and not the group, but the page. Lily monitors that the whole show. So if you leave a comment or something you want us to say or something you want to point out or leave it there. We appreciate comments and everything. We're also live in the inner circle right now too. I just throw it everywhere to cast a wide net to get as many folks listening as possible. So that's how it's working. We are back in business with Rock Rage Radio. Thank you, John and Gigi. Gigi, yes. Okay, so we can.
I do like that name.
Gigi. Gigi. Okay, anyway, that's enough of that silliness. Okay, we are going to get the party started. I am battling a sinus and ear infection, so but I said, fuck it, I'm taking my antibiotic with my bourbon, and bourbon biotics.
There it is.
Yep, so.
Dr.
All right.
Ludini.
Dr. Ludini at your cervix.
That's good stuff.
Okay.
And we're off of Facebook forever.
Sorry, John. We got you thrown off, buddy. So the subject for today's show is Randy Rhoads versus Eddie Van Halen. Oh, my God. We're going to get into it in a minute. My God, you guys freaked out this week.
Yeah, everybody's a crybaby.
Oh, my God. I got some funny stuff. I'll tell you once we start the show. I ran into some people in real life that were like, "You can't do that." That was awesome.
Wow. Well, it was a unanimous at work, and I'll tell you that later.
Okay, we'll get into that in a minute. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. I got the theme music ready. I got my notes. Where's my? Oh, there we are. We need this bad boy right here. Quick time, open recent, and Ludini Rock and Roll Circus intro. Did you just hear a weird sound?
That was me.
Okay. I thought, don't tell me the freaking audio system's going to explode.
I was making noises.
Making noises. It's all noisy. Noisy. All right, guys, here we go. We're going to go ahead and get the thing going here. And, okay. And that. And okay, here we go. What in the world is wrong with us? We might be just like plain old sadists because we love torturing our fans with these impossible shootouts. This week it's the guitar showdown for the freaking ages, guys. I assure you, when we pit Eddie Van Halen against Randy Rhoads, it's going to get brutal up in here. You're listening to the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Changing rock history, one podcast at a time. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Ludini, And with me, as always, the lovely and talented Lily V6.
What's up?
And today we are bringing you one of these shootouts that we like to do. We do one or two a month. And oh my God, you guys freaked out this week. We posted it on Facebook, and everybody's losing their mind. So this is going to be really fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But first, let's give you all the website jazz. Ludini Rock and Roll Circus.com is the website. Tons of cool podcasts there. I do this weekly show. I didn't do it this week because I've been sick, where we do lyric talk, where we take the lyrics from a song that you guys love, and we get into the explanation of it. Some of these songs have various different interpretations. Sometimes the band will, when the song comes out, give you one interpretation. 20 years later, they've got another interpretation. We've done Blinded by the Light, Bohemian Rhapsody, Nothing Else Matters, Tom Sawyer, a bunch of songs like that. And this has become a really popular feature. And you can find that as well. That's one of our shows you can find at LudiniRockAndRollCircus.com. In the links, in the show notes and stuff like that, you're going to see a link to our jam play. I created an easy link for you guys too. Now, what jam play is if you know, especially this time of year, we're coming into the holiday season, and you're going to want to be getting gifts and stuff. You probably got somebody in your life that is a guitar player, or wants to be a guitar player, or would like to get better as a guitar player, and Jam Play is the place to do that. I will be doing a full-fledged review on Jam Play very soon, so watch for that. But you can go to the quick link that I created for you guys, jamplayholiday.lulombardimusic.com, jamplayholiday.lulombardimusic.com. The reason it's holidays is because they're running a special right now through the holidays, and you can get, I think, 40% off. It's courses from beginners, intermediates to advanced. I mean, who wouldn't take lessons off of somebody like Steve Stevens, right?
I would do it.
Of course.
I would suck, but I would still do it.
All kind of cool stuff there, so you can check that out. Shout out to Rock Rage Radio. Our affiliate, they have us like in all the places. They are awesome. And if you're listening to us on Rock Rage Radio, let us know. Say, I listen to the show on Rock Rage Radio, as well as our longtime supporters at Wolf's Customs. That's wolfscustoms.online. Wolf's Customs does custom guitar painting, guys, and it's really cool. Like Chris does a lot of different designs. I have an Epiphone that I'm going to send him soon, and I will have it here on the show to show you guys. But if you go to wolfscustoms.online, you can see all Chris's amazing work. Why would that be something you might be interested in? Well, because first of all, it's very cool to have a one-of-a-kind anything, especially a guitar.
Like the two guitarists we're talking about tonight.
Yes. And it is also, if you're playing, there is, even though the audience may not know what guitar is what, when you got a guitar that like stands out, it's got something that, and especially a custom paint job that really kind of, vibes perfectly with the kind of music you play or whatever, that goes into the whole brand, and people pick up on that and notice that, and it makes you stand out, and it makes it a lot more fun. So you want to go to wolfscustoms.online for that. Okay, enough commercials, enough blah, 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 blah. So we're going to get into Eddie versus Randy versus Eddie in a minute here, but I think Lily's got a couple. You got something you want to, how you doing? You want?
Oh yeah, you want me to go ahead and brag about that show?
Yeah, well, go ahead. Yeah,
on Friday?
I was so pissed. I was sick as a freaking dog. I just could not. I wanted to go so bad, and she's posting stuff about this show on social media, and I'm like, oh, I want to go. But go ahead.
I went to go see Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening. It was at the Roxy here in Pittsburgh. It was freaking awesome. His band sounds just like Zeppelin. Like,
wow.
From the lead singer to the guitarist, who's Jimmy Page, is an Asian man. He's from Japan. Amazing. They're all amazing. They're all great. He had an extra guy playing keyboards and everything. I was able to get front row center, which was awesome.
Nice.
Because my butt got there early, and it was general
So the rock scene is one of those kind of like first come kind of thing. You got to get up towards the front.
Yeah, sort of like stage AE, except for balcony is extra because they have seats. Everything else is standing.
Have you been to the new Thunderbird?
Not yet.
Okay. I was going to
Not
see if
yet.
you can compare it to that, but okay.
I
So
might
the
go
theater's great, and Bonham. That's
Oh
what
my
they call it. They're
God.
called Bonham.
Yeah, Bonham. It blew me away. I had so much fun. I stole the set list from the stage. They played all Zeppelin songs, all the ones that I love. I mean, some people were mad that they didn't play like the 15-minute songs. Well, sorry, then we'd have 5 songs, guys. But such a good show. Such a good show.
Did they play "Wait for You" by Bonham?
No, they only played Zeppelin.
Okay.
Only Zeppelin.
Because Jason Bonham had his own band in the 80s. And that song, if you don't know it, guys, go look it up. Check it out for yourselves. That is right? Isn't that a cool
that's
jam?
a great song. However, he only played Zeppelin songs because
Okay.
this is their Led Zeppelin evening. But it was wonderful. Oh, gosh. I loved it. They played California, and I, died.
Going
It was
to
great.
California,
Yeah.
right? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Loved it.
Wow. I'm so bummed that I
You
missed
would have
it.
loved it.
You know, there's a couple Led Zeppelin tributes that go around, and there's actually a great video for Les Zeppelin,
They were on Saturday at Jurgles.
and I missed them too. I could have gone. I could have had Zeppelin both nights. Did you go? Did you go
I
to-
didn't go to that. I stayed home on Saturday. But Get the Let Out was in New York. There's another one coming up next weekend. There's so many Led Zeppelin tributes. But I'll tell you what, Bonham is where it's at.
Well, I will have to.
Next time around, buddy.
Yeah, man. I just.
You would love it.
You know what adult? Let me ask you this question, Lily.
Okay.
Okay, what adult gets an ear infection?
I still do. I
Do
still
ya?
get them. Yeah. Why? Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah,
sucks. Is
yeah.
that why you didn't go?
Yeah, I mean, I was just, I was telling Eric, he was messaging me. He came into town. He wanted to, oh, it's good to go. It's good together. I'm like, man, if I had an ice
gonna
pick
die.
right now, I'd be shoving it into my ear. My ear hurts so bad. It's crazy. Anyway, so if you get a chance to check out Bonham, if they're coming to a city wherever you are, go check those guys out because, you know, I don't think that Lily V6 would steer you wrong.
I'm not in love with Zeppelin, and I love this. I like Zeppelin, but I love this.
I like Zeppelin, but I love this. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm looking at my set list tonight, and I did something stupid. I'm going to have to fix this. I have like 5 songs by the same band.
Why would you do such a thing?
I don't know. I thought I had this all together. I had
That's 'cause you're
tons of
sick.
time, and I'm down here working, and so. But tonight we're going to be jamming out. Let me tell you guys who we're going to be jamming out to. We're going to be jamming out to Dafka, Breathing Theory, Blood Red Roses, and Skies of Terra. So, and I'm going to try to fix this. I don't know what I did. I have like 20 songs by
Blood.
I don't know. I don't.
I
don't,
can see them from here.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. But we're going to start out with Dafka. If you don't know, these guys have put out a couple of records. They actually have a really cool thing going in Europe. But Jim Dafka is an amazing. Speaking of, it's a great band to lead off with because Jimmy Dafka is one of those like amazing guitar players in the tradition of Randy Rhoads. So let's check it out. This is the Bitter End Dafka on the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus.
Welcome to the end, my friend. It's been a long, long time. From the looks of you, I'd say the years
That's Dovka, everybody. And just a really, I think it's a great band. Jimmy is from right here. We're like a few miles from here.
Just down the road.
Jim Dovka, great guitar player, great band. And let me go ahead and give y'all the y'all all of a sudden I'm from the South. I do that if I just become the South.
He becomes a lot of things.
You want to go to dovka.bandcamp.com. Let me spell that. It's Dof with an F. DOFKA .bandcamp.com, and check those guys out. Coming up is Breathing Theory, Blood Red Roses, and Skies of Terror. I cannot talk tonight, so I will be turning the whole program over to Lily V6.
Oh, and here comes the shit show.
So, anyways, all right, Lil. How are we going to start this thing?
What do you want to do?
I don't know. We didn't even talk about it.
We didn't. I have things to talk about with Eddie, and I have things to talk about with.
Well, why don't we introduce
Randy?
the guys? Maybe you have like a little,
I've
little
got things.
backstory, a little bio. So I think I'm looking very red. I'm going to adjust the lighting, and you go ahead and get started with
Okay.
one of these.
I'll start with Eddie.
Eddie?
That's who I have first on my list here. So Edward Ludwig van Halen, Dutch-American musician, songwriter, and producer. He was born January 26, 1955. He is the main songwriter and founder of the American hard rock band Van Halen.
Never heard of him.
Of course, lies. In 2012, he was voted the number one in Guitar World magazine for the 100 greatest guitarists of all time. Eddie has never been able to read music. He learned from watching and listening. I actually know many musicians who learn this way. A lot of my musician friends don't even know how to read music. I don't know. Is that a thing anymore? I don't even know.
No, it is a thing.
Is it?
But,
Okay.
but a lot of people are self-taught and do not. It isn't necessary to
does it
play
help?
a lot for a lot of styles to actually read music, although it can help you in ways that aren't really apparent, but can be very, very satisfying. So something to think about if you are learning. And speaking of learning, real quick, check out our Jam Play link in the description. jamplayholiday.lulombardimusic.com. I'm sorry, go ahead.
okay.
Plugging that as much as we can.
So Eddie initially bought a drum kit when his brother Alex began playing the guitar, but switched instruments when he heard Alex play the drum solo to Safari's song Wipeout. And he would play for hours locked in his room and walk around the house with the guitar strapped to him, just playing, and practicing all the time. He's always said that he is heavily influenced by Eric Clapton, but he thinks he's more like Jimmy Page. Sure. He has also been involved with many other projects other than Van Halen. He played the guitar solo in Michael Jackson's Beat It. He played the guitar and sang backing vocals on Brian May's solo album Starfleet Project. And I only named a couple here, but he played bass guitar on Sammy Hagar's solo album I Never Said Goodbye. He co-wrote the riff with Black Sabbath members Martin Iommi Butler called Evil Eye on the Cross Purposes album, but he's not credited because of, record labels being restricted to do things, I guess. He and his brother Alex performed Respect the Wind from Twister, from the soundtrack Twister. He performed 2 songs on LL Cool J's album Authentic. So I think with all of that sort of thing, he's very well-rounded as a guitarist, and he can pretty much play anything due to that. I mean, he was on a rap album. Come on. His style influenced an entire generation of guitarists. He has a melodic approach to his playing. You could probably more elaborate on his style of playing because I don't know about styles of playing.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Eddie is at the heart of it is a rock and roll guitar player in the tradition of Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and those Jimi Hendrix, those type of guys. He isn't. It's funny because a lot of he's said for years that Eric Clapton is his hero, but he knows that he doesn't sound like Eric Clapton.
Right.
He's like, I know I don't sound like Eric Clapton, and I remember reading an interview with him. There was a great magazine in the 80s called Musician Magazine. Rolling Stone, isn't really a music magazine. It's a political magazine. So musician magazine really flourished in the 80s, and they would really, when they would go interview, they interviewed the same artists, but they would really talk music as opposed to talking politics or anything like that. And I was an interview in there where he said that yes, Eric Clapton is my absolute hero, and they were like, what? You know, so I think he's like, I know. He says, I don't have the blues. I'm too happy to have the blues.
He's always smiling when he plays.
Yes, he has a sort of kind of happy rock and roll kind of thing going on with him. It's not, you know, if you're looking for something like dark or something like that, it's not really, when you hear Eddie's playing, it has a kind of brightness to it. Even when they do something like Running with the Devil, it's not really, it's not metal. Okay, it doesn't have that kind of, you know, dark, doomy kind of thing. Yes, they do songs in minor keys. Yes, they have more serious type songs like Ain't Talking About Love and things like that. They do. But they do a lot of stuff like, you know, Take Your Whiskey Home and things like that are just swagger. Jamie's Crying. This is just swaggering rock and roll tunes. And Eddie, he fits really well. He fits perfectly in that space. What a lot of people don't realize about Eddie as well is Eddie not only is an amazing guitar player, and of course he's Eddie frickin' Van Halen. That's why Bill and Ted needed him for Wild Stallions. But he revolutionized the guitar itself. He's, without getting into too much technical stuff here, the way the guitar is made, the electric guitar, he did things with it and made modifications that became standard after that. Nobody... Okay, we could find Joe Blow in some, you know, backwoods town, you know, maybe modified a guitar like this. But I'm talking about the guy who did it and was famous and got, you know, inspired other people to do it. It was Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
The humbucker pickup in the bridge position on a Stratocaster guitar. That became standard for everything. In fact, everybody, Fender, all the companies still make that guitar with that option, that humbucker in the bridge position. Locking tremolo system. You know, locking whammy bar. Eddie Van Halen. All right? Anybody out there that plays with high gain on their amp, you owe that to Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen invented that. He took those Marshall amps and did all kind of stuff to them and tortured them to get that sound. And now everybody's... And this is where he's an influence on heavy metal as well. So Randy is considered more the metal guy, but this is Eddie's contribution to heavy metal. It's like when you hear that chug, chug, there was no chug. You know, Nugent was kind of close. Frampton wasn't doing it. None of those guys were doing that. The guy who invented that chug is Eddie Van Halen. Changed when that came out, when Van Halen 1 came out. Within a year, 2 years, guitar was different, and everybody wanted to do that. You know, I haven't even talked about the playing. I haven't talked about the two-hand tapping or anything like that.
Well, he popularized it.
Yes, he didn't invent that. And I'm sure as long as there's been a fretted instrument, somebody reached over with their right hand and tapped on the fretboard and made notes. I mean, it's not, but the way he did it,
he made it.
He popularized
so
it.
to do it, yeah.
Also, because he played with high gain, it facilitated that much better. So when you pressed on those notes now, you had more consistency. Whereas if you used a cleaner type tone, it was very difficult to get the fretted, the plucked notes and the tapped notes to have equal volume. So the high gain contributed to that. Some people are going to say, well, no. Hendrix played with a fuzz pedal and overdrive the amps. Blah, blah, blah. High gain and fuzz are not the same thing. Okay, tube screamer in front of your Marshall is not the same thing as high gain. Look it up. It's a whole different thing. I mean, high gain is what you hear on all those metal albums. Now, granted, the metal guys took it to another level, but essentially that chug is from Van Halen. And guys are still using that. So even if you don't know who Van Halen is, if you play with that chugging kind of sound, you're influenced by Van Halen. Sorry. That's how important Eddie Van Halen is to rock. Is he the greatest guitar player that ever lived? Hell no. Absolutely not. He's pretty versatile, great musician, definitely not the greatest guitar player, but insanely influential. Insanely influential. Influential in ways that people don't even realize they're even being influenced by. So I anytime somebody brings up Eddie Van Halen, I want to make sure people understand why he is so important, because there's so many people like, well, Steve Vai's better, Guthrie Govan is better,
they're all
Alan
amazing,
Holdsworth is better.
but-
Well, I mean, those guys may all be technically better or can do more, or more harmonically advanced or whatever. We're going to get into harmonically advanced playing when we talk about Randy Rhoads in here after the next song. But what Eddie did, he revolutionized guitar playing, the guitar and the guitar amp, like nobody since Hendrix had done. Nobody had come out and with a sound that like everybody wanted to imitate. If Robin Trower and Frank Marino and Jeff Beck and all those guys are trying to sound like Hendrix, then Warren DeMartini, George Lynch, Jakey Lee, all the Zach Wild, those guys are all children of Van Halen. Okay, so that is how important Eddie Van Halen is to rock music. Insanely important. So we're going to we're going to play another song. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about Randy Rhoads. Now we're not playing any favorites. Okay,
We're going to talk about them both.
We're going to talk about them both, but we just picked one. E comes before R in the alphabet.
When you said Eddie versus Randy, that's how I did it online.
So it's just that's it. So
how it went.
so don't nobody get your shorts in a bunch, okay? So we're gonna come back. I'm sure there's comments already. We're gonna take a look at those while I play the next song. This is Breathing Theory, The Nothing on the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus.
Actually, we only have one comment right now about that.
Your eyes, they light the way to move the stars. Still I wonder what your soul it casts deep oceans in the sun. Still I wonder what you become. sing alone.
It's all
You're not the only one that feels like you're undone. Just keep holding on. Now rise and sing alone.
Billy Altman and I got into an argument about something else. It was fun.
According to this, there's another minute. Is something going to happen?
It might be like November rain. Whoopsie.
Okay, it looks like that's the end of the song, although looking at it here on the player, it looks like there's another minute left, but I guess not. That is
Hey.
The Nothing, and maybe that's the idea. That's why they end it like that. It's called The Nothing. It's by Breathing Theory. Breathing Theory.
That's a great name.
Good name. Cool name. Breathingtheory.com. Easy. Open the show with dafka.bandcamp.com. And we've got a cool band coming up here in a little bit. Do you know this band, Blood Red Roses?
I don't, but I like the name.
I think you're going to like their sound. And we're going to close out with Skies of Terror. Skies of Terror is a good band to take us out with. But so we just had a very fun conversation about Van Halen. Officer Van Halen, dudes. I should have had all my Bill and Ted sound bites up, but I'm woefully.
Have you seen Van Halen?
No.
I have twice.
So, now, the other half of this conversation is a gentleman that some of you know, Randy Rhoads. And I'm not going to steal Lily's thunder. She's the sort of rock historian here. So, Lily, go ahead and give us the lowdown on the Rhoadster.
I mean, I did do the research. Randall William Rhoads, American
Randall.
heavy metal guitarist who played with Quiet Riot and Ozzy Osbourne, born December 6, 1956, same as my father.
And a lot of people forget the Quiet Riot part.
Yes,
But
I
he was
know.
in
A lot
Quiet
of people
Riot.
do, yes.
Now, he's not on... That's Carlos Cavazo, I believe, on Come On, Feel the Noise and
Yeah.
the Big Hits. Because at that point, he had already moved on to
Ozzy.
Mhm.
Yes. Actually, he was born the same day as my dad and year, actually, which is pretty
Yay!
cool. He was very much a student of classical guitar, which you can tell, and combined his classical influences with his own heavy metal style, which I'm a huge fan of this style. I will go see bands or musicians just play for that style. Unfortunately, we lost Rhoads in a plane crash while on tour with Ozzy in Florida in 1982. He was about 25 or 26. Despite his short career, he was a major influence on neoclassical metal. In the years since his death, he has been a major influence on huge guitarists such as Dimebag Darrell, Zakk Wylde, Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom, if you don't know who that is, Paul Gilbert from Mr. Big and Racer X, plus many more. While he was alive, he didn't get as much praise as he deserved. Eddie Van Halen, in fact, poo-pooed his playing. He would say everything he did, he learned from me, and I don't really think he did anything that I haven't done before.
I love it.
But he's good.
But he's all right.
And Rolling Stone magazine, who we are not fans of, was of course critical of his playing, as well as calling him a junior league Eddie Van Halen and short on imagination. He stated that he was influenced by the Beatles and the Rolling Stones as a child. He is on the 100 Greatest Guitarists list for Rolling Stone and Guitar World magazine, as well as Guitar World's 50 Fastest Guitarist list. I think he would have been a superior guitarist had he lived longer than he did, but we really didn't get to see his full potential. And for someone who knows more about guitar styles than I do, Lou's gonna go ahead and explain that. Because I don't know guitar styles that well.
Well, Randy, he did not invent the neoclassical kind of playing.
No.
But he really
Influenced it.
I mean, technically, the neoclassical thing sort of came out of two guys who predate Randy by at least 10 years, and that is Richie Blackmore and Uli Roth. Now, Richie is also a blues guitar player, so he kind of put the two together. Uli Roth from the Scorpions.
I love him. He's coming again.
Is the other guy who's really, the father of that. And then, of course, we all know our good friend Yngwie Malmsteen.
The Swedish meatball.
The Swedish meatball.
I love him, too, and I don't care.
But Randy's playing was very unique. And it was beyond, even though he had that classical thing going on, his solos were, well, I mean, I think one of the reasons why a lot of people had the comment, that, oh, he's like a second-rate Van Halen or whatever, is because I think a lot of what Randy did went over a lot of people's heads. And
that could be.
And I don't think a lot of people completely really understood what he was doing. I remember working on the solo to Flying High Again, and Randy used different scales and stuff than other people were doing. If you listen to what he did, he brought kind of different I don't want to get too musically technical here, but could apply diminished scales and things in ways, chromatics and things, excuse me, that other guitar players, if they tried doing that, they would just sound like you're playing wrong notes. Randy was able to kind of Randy was one of these type of guitar players that could do this. He could literally play any note on the guitar and find a way to make it work, no matter what the song was. He had that. He may have been a musical genius. I'm not sure because we did lose him
super early on.
Super early. Now, I want to address this
to all the naysayers.
Because there's a lot of people who are like, well, it's not fair because you can't compare the two because, Eddie is still alive and, made music all through the 80s and the 90s, so on and so forth, and was on all these other projects, and it's not fair to Randy Rhoads. Well, a couple of things. First of all, you don't have to put out tons of material to become wildly influential and a beloved musician. I mean, we mentioned Jimi Hendrix earlier.
He's had, 3 albums?
Yeah.
If that?
Yeah. And, I mean, Hendrix keeps putting out records. Strange. But you look at people like Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin.
They all died around the same age.
Kurt Cobain. You look at all these people that, all the members of the so-called 27 Club. That is not... I don't buy that as a reason to not...
Yeah, I don't feel that should be a factor.
To be too much of a factor. In fact, speaking of, a factor, might be... Think about this. Think of it the opposite. Would Randy still be as venerated if he hadn't died? Aha! Oh, I know. Somebody's going to walk up to me tomorrow and say, I can't believe you said that.
They're going to punch you right in the face.
But
it's unfortunate that we lost him. We have to go off what we know, though.
That's all we can go. We can just have to go by what we're doing. Two hugely influential guitar players, slight divergent. Well, a pretty wide. If you understand music, it's actually a pretty wide divergence. What they were doing, both were doing musically, is very, very different. Eddie, like I said earlier, is a rock and roll guitar player, like in the tradition of a Jeff Beck or a Jimmy Page or somebody like that. Whereas Randy brings this classical thing to it and really has it mastered. And he really isn't doing what Uli Roth is doing. He's doing something different with it that inspired everybody. Like everybody, especially the serious metal guys. I mean, I think if Dime Darrell was here, he would be like Randy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And he'd probably be like Randy and Eddie. I'm sure he loved them both.
Zakk Wylde.
Zakk Wylde was very often considered to be, the sort of next Randy Rhoads. His playing is a little bit different. Here's the reason why that happened. I've been wanting to talk about. I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk about that for a long time. At the heart of it, yes, Zakk Wylde can play classical guitar. He studied classical guitar. That's kind of how he got the gig, I believe, with Ozzy, was the fact that he could do that. And if you look at Zakk when he was young, He looked an
He
awful lot
looks like Randy Rhoads.
Looked an awful lot like Randy
Yes.
Rhoads. So there was that comparison.
They were both beautiful blondes.
But after the first tour with Ozzy, during the first tour with Ozzy, Zach got very interested in country music and learned chicken picking and all kind of country-ish kind of things. And that is really a big part of Zach's style now. He doesn't really do that kind of neoclassical kind of thing. Not at all. He doesn't really do that.
And I just saw him, so no.
Yeah, he doesn't do that. I'm sure if he's on a stage, especially next, you see what he was on with the Yngwie. That was a guitar.
Yeah, the Generation X show. I saw that twice.
You would be able to tell immediately that these two guys don't really have too much in common.
No, correct.
Okay. And the thing we need to talk about too is songwriting, riffs, and things like that. The approach to songwriting is different, for sure. But they're both songwriters, and I mean, what can you say about the guy that? I mean, Randy didn't write Crazy Train. It's accredited to all four of them: Deasley, Kerslake, Rhoads, and Osborne. Same way with Flying High Again. But he was instrumental in creating those riffs. Do you know the story behind? Crazy Train?
I
the
don't.
riff?
I don't know if I know it or not. You're gonna
because
have to say it.
a friend, and I do not remember.
Which friend?
I don't remember which friend it was. Oh, it was a guy that was temporarily replacing Greg Leon, who took Randy's place in Quiet Riot for a little bit. Here's what he says. He says that him and Randy were sitting around one night, and he said to Randy, "This is Steve Miller's Swing Town. Check it out when you play it real fast." And supposedly that was the inspiration for Crazy Train.
That makes sense. It really does.
So that would be a good trivia question where we could give away a T-shirt or something. What's
I'm
the
going to use that at
connection
trivia at
between
work.
Ozzy Osbourne and Steve Miller? So who'd have thunk it, right?
Wow. Now that I listen, that could be a thing.
But Randy is beloved, and he did die too soon, and it is a terrible
And he
shame.
didn't even die from anything like he didn't do drugs. He didn't die from drinking. He died, unfortunately, in a plane crash.
He was one of the stories was, I mean, he was like Eddie in the sense that there was all kind of stories about Eddie when they would tour. Eddie would be with the guitar constantly on the bus, constantly
like he was when he was a kid.
And Randy was exactly the same way. They would get to a town somewhere, and if they had a day, Randy would go and he would call around and try to find out who the good guitar teacher in that town was and go take lessons.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. He was that into... I don't know, guys. I think that, I often thought this, and is that Randy, could have been Steve Vai had he lived. I think that it's a very good possibility that instead of Steve Vai being this guy that we're all like, oh my God, he's like the world's greatest guitar player or whatever. A lot of people feel that way. Please don't send letters.
We're not going to read them anyway.
I think that it could easily have been Randy Rhoads. Randy, that's how great of a musician.
I would have liked to have seen what Randy could do.
Would have been great. And I'm sure there's an alternate universe out there where Eddie died on a plane crash and Randy lived. And there's a podcast like this one discussing
somewhere
the same
else,
thing.
like on Mars. Somewhere.
But different styles, but both wildly influential guitar players and influential on multiple styles. Influential. Whether Eddie's, I said earlier, Eddie is not a heavy metal guitar player, but influenced heavy metal absolutely with the sound and all of that stuff. And just not to give away the conclusion here, but Eddie predates Randy. So keep that in mind as we play Dark Before the Storm by Blood and Roses. We're going to come back and we're going to give you our answer. We're also going to look at what some of you folks said this week on Facebook. And we'll be right back. to bed, Billy. Now stay up late, Billy.
Makes them blind. One way through the flame. They can't hide. Oh, can you feel all the rage? The dark before the storm. Oh, can you see? Come around. The dark before the storm. Can you feel all the rage? The dark before the storm. Oh, can you see? Come around. The dark before.
Blood Red Roses. And let's give y'all, I'm back to the south
Y'all.
again. BloodRedRoses.com. Here's the kicker though, guys. It's blood, B-L-U-D. No, this like double O stuff. Blood Red Roses, B-L-U-D, redroses.com. I think that like kind of rocked my ass off.
I liked it
quite
a lot.
frankly, I thought that was just really great. So before we make our final, we can give the announcement.
Let's hear about your brutal butts and what you said.
Oh my God, some of you guys, downright crazy. That was just crazy talk, you people.
Angry topic.
The heck's the matter with you guys? Calm down. It's like everybody's so angry with
It's
the
a game.
Steelers.
Calm down.
Oh my God, there's like Steeler hate.
This was Steeler hate.
Oh
This is what
my-
this was.
yeah,
but
this
it was
was.
music hate.
Oh boy, 50 comments. That's awesome. I'm probably not going to read everybody's, but Bill Damiano says, Eddie, I got to shout out to Bill all the time because did Bill message you?
He did.
Yeah, he
I'm going to
messaged
do
me.
that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to do that too. Bill's a great guy. He's got a great podcast. Tim Mitchell can't not be answered. Tim, fail. Tim, I love you. Tim's a great guy. He's a great musician too.
You don't like me.
Dino, Raylos, tough call. Randy's playing is so beautifully composed. Eddie took rock and roll and greased it up. Well, you didn't pick one though.
Because you guys.
Jason Sapienza, Eddie has a much bigger body of work since Rhoads died so young. Tim Mitchell, better and more difficult question would be who has a greater and longer lasting input. Lily V6 says there needs to be an answer. No ties. Thank you, Lily.
Guess what? I like apples better than I like oranges. Just by this much.
And Tim Mitchell posted a picture of Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, that's his pick.
By the way, guys,
Even though I said that's not an
Randy
option.
Rhoads is Rhoads.
But nice try.
TR voted for Rhoads. Lily and Tim.
We got into it for a second.
That's okay. This should all be in fun, guys. Let's not calm down. Sean Lane says Randy Rhoads 100%. Bill Worley. I often wonder that as well. But truthfully, I wonder if anything like what we could imagine. You often mentioned possibly leaving after Diary Tour, pursuing a classical music. So Randy may have been one of these guys who said, I don't even want to be in rock. We don't know. I mean, it's pure
He's dead.
speculation. We don't know. We can speculate all day.
People were getting into other topics on the
Okay, so
conversation.
yeah, okay.
too. Eddie Van Halen by John Gillette.
John Gillette says EVH. His tone has more balls.
I like balls.
Brady Novotny says Randy. Brady, that doesn't surprise me, buddy. Knowing how you play. Brady's an amazing guitar player. We've played his music on here. I interviewed him a while ago. Amazing guitar player. Devin Holiday from that post, I believe the Devin.
That doesn't surprise me.
Eddie Van Halen, Sean McDonough, Rhoads, Bill Worley can't. Bill, you got to decide something. Mike Rowe, Rhoads, Jared Grease says Randy all the way.
I love people.
Jared, you're funny, dude. On top of all that, Randy seemed like a kind dude. EVH is his own biggest
I have something
fan.
to say about that in my answer.
Okay. Tony Lang says Eddie was first, so he wins. I saw both, and Randy was better, just lost so soon. He was just a kid.
That's a very confusing answer, just so you know.
We're gonna say that was an Eddie. Oh my God! Look at all the comments.
Yeah,
all the people.
It went crazy. I read it all day today.
This
and
is
yesterday.
great. I'm so okay, guys. Let me just say first of all, the
We
reason
like
we
this.
do these kind of shows is because we're trying to get you guys talking and getting to know each other a little bit and having some fun. And we're building a community here. And speaking of building a community, we're gonna jump over to our private group here in a few minutes. You can find that at LouLombardiMusic.com. But this is what we're trying to do, guys.
This is
It's not
exactly
about.
what we want.
It isn't really even about whether we pick Randy or Eddie. It's about the conversation. Warren Hughes, who's an amazing guitar player in his own right, not taking any away from Randy. He set a trend as far as the classical aspect, the darker tones, which I love. But Eddie is hands down the king. His approach and technique are world class. Listen to "I Am the One" from the first album. Brian Marshevka, Randy, Mike Moscato, no thanks. Mike,
thanks.
Okay, I can't read your. I think. No, we're not reading your comment, Mike, because you have to decide. Steve Angert, from Highway 4. I missed that band, Steve. Steve, put a new band together and send me some music. Randy Rhoads, Don Minder, Rhoads, Don, spell Rhoads right, please. Angelo. EVH, Angelo.
Oh, Angelo.
I love you. I love Angelo.
I love Angelo.
Tim Doverspike, Randy. Sean Donahue, Randy. Jeff Gardner, I'm going to say EVH. Jeff, that surprises me. I thought for sure you were going to be a Randy Rhoads guy. This is so awesome.
I know,
you guys
it's
talking
crazy,
about
right?
this. Dave Klimo, both are my favorite. Oh, you can't say both. Oh, no, he said he would. Oh, finally he says he would go with Eddie. John Fox.
John Fox earlier said that Rhoads.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Josh Montadoro.
Oh, Joshy.
He goes
Joshy
with Rhoads. Oh, Fran. Sorry, Fran. We're not getting into it. Love you, Fran, but not getting into it. If you guys don't follow Fran Crasher, you should. Just to see. Some of you will be highly offended, but his posts make me laugh. Dan Katura says EVH. Kevin Foster. Rhoads. Dave Music. Eddie.
Eric
Ed
Rogers.
Buzard.
Eric Rogers all about Rhoads, just so we know.
God, you guys. We can't get to all of them. I mean, there's a gazillion comments here. Dave Broussard, thank you for chiming in. EVH. Bill Wangan.
Hush your mouth.
Yep. Sorry, Bill. Yeah. Jeff Mazai makes a point here about writing great rock tunes. Last longer than just riffs. Dan Tracy won't talk about it. Lewis Walker III.
Billy Ottman, Randy Rhoads.
He says that he's the greatest. And Lewis is a great guitar player.
You probably could be the greatest.
He's a great guitar player. Ford Thurston. Ford, you might have my favorite comment on here. This is dumb.
Then you can go home. Jim Horosky, that's my uncle.
Yeah, the things he would have done, but he didn't live, and he didn't make any more music. And Mike Toval's comment is my second favorite. If you can't spell Randy Rhoads, your vote doesn't count.
Legit.
Mike, I love you, man. Mike is a great guitar player as well in his own rights. And Ken Kovacs says Randy Rhoads. Okay, so with all that, there was a lot of votes for Rhoads on there.
I saw them.
A lot of votes for Rhoads.
I know.
Okay, and if this was an audience poll from Facebook, I don't know. Randy might have it in the bag. I don't know. I didn't add them up.
Rhoads won on that.
Rhoads, I think, might be ahead on that. let's go ahead and reveal our choice, Lily.
Overall, our vote goes to EVH because of his body of work. His solos are killer, and he is the more versatile musician. He had two different Van Halen bands. Very different Van Halen bands. He can play anything. Yes, Eddie is Eddie's biggest fan, but doesn't he have a right to be? I mean, a little bit arrogant. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. He's kind of awesome.
We had to decide with Eddie Van Halen. I'm sorry. My buddy Steve Gardner came up to me today. He's like, I couldn't even answer that. Like, I would have been on Facebook all day. And guys, it's just about the conversation. You know, this is our opinion. You guys have your opinion. It's just about the conversation. Everybody getting to know each other. I freaking love this. Thank you guys so much for participating. We love it. Thank you guys who are listening as well. If you want to send me an email, tell me I'm full of shit, that's totally fine. Lou@LouLombardimusic.com. That's my email. I'm glad to continue the conversation. If you want to talk more about great guitar-driven rock music, I want you guys right now to remember this web address. It is LouLombardiRocks.com. We're going to pop over there. It's a closed Facebook group, so you can really let loose, and that's where you're going to hear the real dirty jokes. And we're happy to talk about whatever you want over there. It's going to be a good time. We're going to do that here in a second. Let's wrap up the podcast. The website is LudiniRockAndRollCircus.com. Check back often. Also, guys, in the description here is our link to our Jamplay affiliate. So please, if you're looking to learn to be a better guitar player, or you know somebody, you've got a loved one over the Christmas holiday, you can save a few bucks by using that link there. Jamplayholiday.LouLombardimusic.com. Lily, any parting shots, parting thoughts? Oh, real quick before, I'm sorry, wolfscustoms.online. Get that guitar painted up so when you get on stage, even if you can't play like Randy or Eddie, people might think you can because you have such a badass paint job on your guitar.
You can get a Frankenstrat or a polka dot.
There you
Flying
are.
V.
There you are. I'm sure if you talk to Chris at Wolf's Customs, he would do you up a Frankenstrat or a polka dot V. Lily.
No show this week. No Hot Licks with Lily 6 this week because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but you come back next Thursday, 6 p.m. for Hot Licks with Lily 6 on Rock Rage Radio, and stay tuned for the Leif Garrett interview that I will be conducting on December 12th, following Thursday. That's all I got.
All right, guys. Thanks to all the great bands that are making music that we get to feature on here. Shout out to Dovka, dovka.bandcamp.com. Breathing Theory, breathingtheory.com. Blood Red Roses, bloodredroses.com. That's blood with a U. That's why I said blue accidentally. And this is a band called Skies of Terra. Skiesofterra.bandcamp.com. They're going to take us out. Guys, have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you on. Oh, have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
I'm
Be
not
safe,
sure,
please.
Yes, I'm sure when you're going to be listening to this because Rock Rage, I think, is going to put us on the...
It'll be Monday. Yeah, it'll be after Thanksgiving.
Anyways, well, whatever. Whatever. You could just go back and think of that we wished you a happy Thanksgiving. Anyways, guys, have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next Ludini Rock and Roll Circus.